Tshisekedi, it means to him that his civilians are safe because the problem of these terrorist groups is no more. So, and then it comes to the previous question you asked me about a common enemy. Even if Tshisekedi is still working with FDLR, FDLR is an enemy of Rwanda. Tshisekedi is working with ADF. ADF is an enemy of Uganda. But still more, is an enemy of Congo. Because why they are the enemies of Congo, they are killing his civilians. They are killing the civilians that he's mandated to protect. So these terrorist groups automatically becomes common enemy, which means that for him to succeed, it's very simple. The formula is simple. Let him humble himself, let him sit down, let him invite Mzee Kaguta Museveni, let him invite Mzee President Paul Kagame, sit on table, put them together, the forces, formulate a force, East African force, including the Rwandan forces, Ugandan forces, Congolese forces. They put a formula how they are going to eliminate for good these terrorist groups, which includes Codeco, FDLR, Wazalendo, ADF, and the Rhodes Resistance Army.
Welcome to yet another episode of On the Spot here on UKWELI Times, where we get to discuss issues that have been making headlines in the region, in the country, and across the globe. We are not leaving out anything, for we are uncensored, we are untampered with, and we bring you the best of information and analysis, where you are also part of building a greater peaceful world. This is where you get to subscribe, hit the notification bell, but also like when you get to watch. But also, you're not limited to sharing the link to your friends who can be interested in some of these discussions. You are not limited to also commenting and, of course, inspiring the nation. My name is Bright Bashir, always in this business called TR Bright, with my guest always, Innocent Habumujisha, where we get to discuss issues at hand concerning what is been transpiring. Yes, and this time around, we are here to start with an interesting article that was written in Al Jazeera, and it was written on Al Jazeera, the website, and it says, "We are all on the front line. DR Congo's young women rebels take on M23." We are here to discuss, is the DRC being at a front with a losing end, or is it the kicks of a dying horse? Because we get to see the M23 they think they are taking on is actually advancing. Innocent, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, T. Bright.
Yes, how have you been?
Very fine, fantastic.
Interesting.
Yes.
We are seeing Congolese women in uniform now taking on the front after the men are running out of the country.
Yeah, as you have just said it, I think I agree with you. Those are the last kicks of a dying horse. Yes, Tshisekedi now becomes a dying horse.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yet again, on the issues in the region, are we yet to see a common enemy that can be battled by the neighboring countries instead of blaming one another? Welcome to the sport. Thank you, Innocent, for joining us yet again for another episode of On the Sport.
Thank you so much.
We went to a mini break with the M23 being advancing, but this time around we are seeing women saying we are in camouflages, also taking on the M23 from the Congolese side. Where does this leave Congo and the stability of its people?
Okay, this question is laughable, because I don't believe that what men have failed to do, especially when it comes to battlefronts, women will manage to do it. I think if President Tshisekedi of Republic of Congo is going to allow these ladies into military uniforms to go into the front line, battlefront, that means he's confirming that those are now the kicks of a dying horse, the last kicks actually. Because he has been fighting since the year 2022, when the M23, decided to lift their arms and re-invade, because it was not the first time they're coming, re-invade RDC through Bunagana. So he started fighting them from there. They managed to grab Bunagana from him. They continued fighting. They went to Masisi, Kibumba, Kanyabayonga, Rubaya. They fought. They got all those centers and towns and the provinces from him, away from him. So if the men who were trained, mandated to protect the territory of RDC, the Eastern Congo, failed to protect the civilians, failed to protect their territory, and M23 grabbed it from them through fighting, I don't think that today he's going to bring the ladies, women, to come and fight and win the battle.
Interesting.
Yes.
Does that mean that then for nations that have women in their defense forces are not efficient enough to actually go to the battles and win wars?
No, that's not what I said. You know, all the countries, including our Rwanda, they have got women into the military. You know, military is a big thing, it's a wide thing. They have got a lot of responsibility to do. Like in Rwanda, we even have the health department, part of health. So they need a lot of health personnel. Some of those women can go into health. They can even go on battlefront because it's 50-50. Equal rights, which they have fought for. They are also trained with the men. They have got the same training. So I don't think they can fail to go there. What I said, if you got me right, is that what men failed to do earlier, starting from 2020, 2022, 2023, now we're in 2024, I don't think those women who are coming in are going to do it. M23 have already gotten. The question will be, are those women coming in to reinforce the effort, they say, to go and check out those M23 where they are, or they are coming in to protect the remaining territory so that they don't advance and get more? That is the question. But as usual, I've always said it, M23 rebels are fighting for a purpose. And that's why their fighting is actually becoming a success to them, because they have got a vision, they have got a purpose, they have got what they are fighting for. It's no longer a secret. They are fighting for their rights. These people, they have been denied of their rights for decades. They are denied of their rights because of how God created them, because of how they are born. Those are Congolese Tutsis, related to the Rwandan Tutsis. So the Congolese do deny them, saying these are Rwandese, they are not Congolese. But in the reality, history has it, the division of the borders, the coming of the white people dividing the borders between Rwanda and Congo, they had to take a big portion of Rwanda and dedicated it into Congo. Part of eastern and southern Congo, those were in the, if you go back to read the Berlin Agreement, Berlin Conference, where this border sharing was done, you find that this part like Masisi, Kibumba, all these Goma, Bukavu, Uvira, those were parts of Rwanda. And it was taken that way, that side. So as they were dividing the borders, that's when now those part of those people remained there for 100 years, I think, even before I was born, a long time ago. Those people have been there. They are Congolese, they are not Rwandese. So they have been denied their rights, a lot of rights they have been denied. And that's why they are fighting. Number two, they know their relatives, they have been killed, denied education, and most of them are living as refugees. Some of them are living here in Rwanda, others are living in other neighboring countries in Uganda, Burundi, Zambia, South Africa, they are all over. They are Congolese refugees. So M23, among the things that is fighting for, is to end the return, they return their relatives, the refugees who are across the world, also to end the problem, that is causing refugee crisis in that region. That's why I said M23 is fighting for a purpose.
So that makes me come to a question. How are they advancing so far? Which cities have they taken? What are the regions they have advanced in?
Thank you so much. I think when you go back behind a bit, we go back to 2022, when they re-invaded Congo. They started from Bunagana. So from Bunagana, they advanced. They were there for some time. They advanced to go to Chibumba. I think it was Chibumba, Masisi, those areas. Actually, they were there for some times. Then they also captured a military camp, which is Rumangangabo. They were there for some time. Then the East African countries, where Congo is also a member, intervened and said, no, can you please put your firearms down so that we sit on the table and discuss and see the problem and we end the war, because we need to protect the civilians. They agreed. The East African countries organized a mission. Countries including Uganda, Kenya, South Sudan, and Burundi. They had to put together their standby forces to bring them to Eastern Congo. President Tshisekedi refused, denied the Rwandans to be there, citing that Rwanda is the one sponsoring M23. So Rwanda didn't go there. I'll come back to that one. So the East African forces went there. M23 were asked to surrender all the regions, all the cities, all the centers that they had taken control of, to surrender it into the hands of East African Community Mission forces, so that they sit down and find a solution to end the war. M23 retaliated and went back to their bases. Unfortunately, President Tshisekedi didn't have trust into the East African armed forces. He said they were not doing anything. He incited a lot of issues. So they had to go back to their countries, and he brought in SADC. So SADC also is the Southern African countries that are put themselves together. Not all the countries brought the soldiers. He brought in Malawi, he brought in South Africa, he brought in Tanzania, who came to join Congolese soldiers together with terrorists like FDR, the Rwandan terrorists, FDR from the previous government, XFAR. They also joined Wazalendo and Mai, and then the Burundian troops who are in Eastern Congo to fight M23. So now there are three things there that people must understand. South Africa is an independent country and a democratic country. Same with Malawi, same with Tanzania. It's unfortunate that those three countries can accept to work with Congolese army, the army that is well known to be working with a terrorist group, an army that is working with killers, genocide perpetrators, genocide planners. Those are the people who planned and perpetrated genocide against Tutsi in Rwanda in 1994. They are working with FARDC. And those are the same people that South Africa is coming to associate with. That becomes a challenge and a big problem for the South African side. The same with Malawi, the same with Tanzania. To come with, they should have, first of all, asked President Tshisekedi to ask his army to separate themselves from FDLR. Because FDLR is fighting Congolese. Because M23, they are Congolese. FDLR, they are Rwandese. So these Rwandese are fighting Congolese, collaborating with other Congolese. So now that's why I'm saying it becomes a challenge for this SADC community to explain how they're working with a terrorist group. So when you come to the question you asked me about the pass that they have gotten a place called Kanyabayonga. That's a strategic place. They have taken Rubaya. Rubaya is well known for minerals, the precious stones in Congo. They have taken Masisi. They have taken part of Aruberu. Aruberu is also another province in the eastern Congo. They have taken Chibumba. Now, just 2 days ago, they captured Masisi Center, where it happens. They captured Kisuma, Rukofa, Kikuvo. That's also another part in Aruberu. Those are the new places to be captured, even after having put in place a ceasefire, a temporary ceasefire. So you see, I think I would say half of eastern part of Congo, eastern province of Congo, half of that is gone to M23.
Interesting way to look at things. Well, we are yet to continue understanding where does this issue come from, where does it go, what can we do to have peace in the region. But again, who is to blame, who can be out of the picture so that we see peace? Why? Very many aspects have been seen, like the recent 2 meetings of the ministers, both of DRC and Rwanda, and being hosted in Angola, followed by the intelligence experts. But then, we're still hearing others blaming others, others not seeing each other, others not even willing to do business with each other. The people are yet to be affected, or even are being affected, businesses, schools, and the entire health sector in the region. What does that mean? Where does that leave us? Let's take a short commercial break. When we return, we'll understand what can we do. Welcome back to yet another episode of the On the Spot here on UKWELI Times, where we get to tell you what has been happening across the region and what we can do. How you can contribute exactly is you get to subscribe, you hit the notification bell to get new content when it's uploaded, yes, and of course like and share that link to make sure everyone gets to be part of this conversation. My name is Bright Bashir, call me TR Bright in this business, and of course Hawumisha Innocent is always our guest to share with us the wisdom on what is happening in the region. On the Spot is the show, UKWELI Times is the channel you are watching. Innocent, you are still telling us on the places that have been captured. But then before you got there, you told us a couple of coalitions that have been made. East African armed forces have been kicked out. The SADC are brought together with FARDC, and then we see the unification of Mai and the FDLR, which is a militia recognized group by the UN, not only a militia but a terrorist group. Then we get to see the other party being blamed as being Uganda, which says you are a host of the Lord Resistance Army, you are the host of the ADF. Don't we see a common enemy here? How can we flush them out? How can this be a unification for the region?
Thank you so much. That also comes to President Tshisekedi. President Tshisekedi is actually a person I would call a double dealer. A double dealer because
Mwenye
biashara. He's working with these terrorist groups. At the same time, he wants to work with his neighboring countries.
Interesting.
Why am I saying this? First thing, Congo DR is hosting some of the terrorist, actually let me say some of the deadliest terrorist groups in this region, in East Africa. This is LA, that's the Lord's Resistance Army of Joseph Kony. We have FDLR of the former Rwandan the soldiers. We also have what they call Codeco. We also have ADF. These are at least the four. We also have Wazalendo. 5 of them. So 5 of the deadliest terrorist groups. I'll take one simple example of what Wazalendo did. It should be yesterday. Just yesterday, Wazalendo killed some motorists and killed them with bullets, rifle ammunition, and went away with their motorcycles.
Interesting.
Yesterday. So you can see for this one is a good example that President Tshisekedi has failed his civilians. That's number 1. Number 2, he's also harboring ADF, FDLR, and LRA, meaning that harboring these 3 deadliest terrorist groups. These are killing Congolese civilians.
Because they need to sustain themselves.
They need to live. They need to live. They don't work. They don't cultivate. So what they eat is what the Congolese people cultivate. So they get their animals, their cattle, their goats, their wives, their daughters. Those are the people that a president is harboring. Most west to that, he's even working with FDLR. And the Congolese know. So these people have been terrorizing his civilians. He's working with them. Kodeko is the same thing. Now, coming back to his neighboring countries now, that Tshisekedi wants to work with. He's working, like I said, he's working with these terrorist groups, like FDLR, helping him to fight. Now, he wants to work with his neighboring countries. For instance, if he's harboring FDLR, FDLR has been planning to come and cause instability in Rwanda, to come and destroy
because they still
what
have
has
a
been achieved. They still have the genocide ideologies in their heads. They still want to come and commit genocide. That's one. Number two, he's harboring ADF and RLM of Uganda. These people have been also causing chaos in Uganda. Going there, they throw one grenade or bomb. They behave like terrorists. They kill civilians.
They the last time they killed, I think, schools and students in a school and tourists in a national park.
So from that, you can tell he's harboring a terrorist groups that cause problems in his neighboring countries. He's working with them. So he wants to come into the mid, work with the terrorist groups, come back, work with President Kagame, go and work with President Museveni, which cannot work. So that's why I said he's a double dealer. So for him, he's accommodating ADF, ROA, and FDLR. These are terrorist groups fighting their countries of origin, that is Rwanda and Uganda. So simply meaning that Uganda and Rwanda, they have a common enemy. Uganda and Rwanda, they have
a common enemy.
Being accommodated by President Tshisekedi and being helped by President Tshisekedi. That way. Yes, that's how I'm analyzing according to my analysis. Then coming back to the civilians of Congo. Civilians of Congo, Congolese civilians who are in the eastern part of Congo, are suffering at the hand of their irresponsible president. Why do I call him irresponsible president? Because he knows that he's keeping at least 5 deadly terrorist groups: Kodeko, FDLR, Wazalendo, and the ADF. These are killing civilians. These are grabbing the properties of civilians every day on a day right. These are getting the animals of civilians. These are killing civilians. Tshisekedi cannot protect them. Last time we were talking about the 193 police officers who have fled to Uganda after the intensification of fighting between M23 and FRDC. So those police officers of abandoning, of leaving civilians behind and running for their safety in Uganda, meaning that it's the same thing that I said, the responsibility of the president. The people mandated to protect the civilians, they are the first ones to run, to leave them behind, to leave them in trouble. So if police officers, the Congolese police officers, go with guns and ammunition into Uganda, leaving ADF behind, leaving FDLR behind, leaving Kodeko behind, leaving those civilians in the hands of these thieves, in the hands of these what you call these terrorists, these murderers, these untamed animals, what do you expect
is going to happen? The
civilians, how do you expect the civilians to survive? How do you expect the civilians to develop their country? How do you expect the civilians to have the confidence for their president?
Interesting way to look at things indeed. Then my question would then be, why isn't the Congolese government actually accepting help from the people who they have a common enemy. Because when you are looking, the way you are bringing things out is that actually these terrorist organizations that are into Congo are also causing Congo problems. Not only Congolese people, but also the other source of instability to other neighboring countries. Yet, the Congolese government continues to blame the other governments that they can use to flush out this. I'll give you case in point projects that I've stalled, yet they could have helped the Congolese people. The Uganda-funded road that was supposed to go through, I think, the Mpondwe border, if not Bunagana border, to go 500 kilometers into Congo. Number one, to transport goods and services, to transport people to the nearest healthcare, and also introduce primary healthcare, primary education, and alongside these roads. But they had to stall, all because the government and the president of Congo thought this was another way to bring the Ugandan government into the Congolese affairs. Aren't we failing our people if we are thinking like that?
We are not going to say that we are failing our people because, one, the Rwandan government, I'm not the spokesperson, but I'm analyzing what I see, what I read. The Rwandan government, together with the Ugandan government, they have made their efforts to make sure that they assist the government of Congo to end the problem of terrorists, of which President Tshisekedi ignored. Like you have said, the Ugandan government, the project of building that road, I think, which was supposed to come from Bunagana and pass through Beni town into somewhere, and he had also promised them some schools. President Museveni promised some schools. We have seen the Rwandan government having some operations with the previous government of Kabila, Umoja Wetu, and all those issues. Those were aimed at ending the problem of terrorists. Ending the problem of terrorists in Eastern Congo, what does it mean to the Congolese people? It means protection for their civilians. What does it mean to President Tshisekedi? Tshisekedi, it means to him that his civilians are safe because the problem of these terrorist groups is no more. And then it comes to the previous question you asked me about a common enemy. Even if Tshisekedi is still working with FDLR. FDLR is an enemy of Rwanda. Tshisekedi is working with ADF. ADF is an enemy of Uganda. But still more, is an enemy of Congo. Because why they are the enemies of Congo, they are killing his civilians. They are killing the civilians that he's mandated to protect. So these terrorist groups automatically becomes common enemy. Which means that for him to succeed, it's very simple. The formula is simple. Let him humble himself, let him sit down, let him invite Mzee Kaguta Museveni, let him invite Mzee President Paul Kagame, sit on table, put them together, the forces, formulate a force, East African force, including the Rwandan forces, Ugandan forces, Congolese forces. They put a formula how they are going to eliminate for good these terrorist groups, which includes Codeco, FDLR, Wazalendo, ADF, and the Rhodes Resistance Army for Joseph Kony. Once he works with these two men, he's going to eliminate them. And once these terrorist groups are eliminated, that means Congo, Eastern Congo will be safe, Congolese will be safe again. But here, we are ignoring that even if he eliminates the problem of these terrorist groups, he has not addressed the plight of these people fighting in M23. He has not addressed the plight of Congolese Wanyamulenge refugees living in Rwanda and Uganda and these other neighboring countries. So, after having eliminated the terrorist groups, he should also consider addressing the problem of M23.
I will quote the words of Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, who once said that with our history and the scramble for partition for Africa, then Congo's way to serve these people fairly would then be, if they should be considered Rwandans, they should be returned to Rwanda with their land and property. Or they should agree that these are indeed Congolese who just speak Kinyarwanda. What is your take? Is a two-state solution for Congo?
For now, I don't think that could be a solution, because these people are not living just in one region. They are all over. Let's say they are in Goma, they are in Bukavu, they are in Uvira, some of them are in Kisangani, others are in Kinshasa, others are in Lubumbashi, because they also migrate looking for greener pastures. So if they migrate, they are going to settle where they are. And they are migrating as Congolese. They are not migrating as Rwandan Tutsi living in Congo. They are not foreigners. They are Congolese.
They hold national IDs.
They hold national IDs for Congo. They have been there. Some of them have even been there before President Tshisekedi was born. Some of them were even there before Muyaya was born. Some of them were even there before Kabila is born, or Vital Kamerhe is, all those. So, which means that giving them their own state cannot be a solution today. Cannot be a solution, because those are Congolese. They have to give them their rights. They have to look at what are they fighting for and solve that problem. Yes.
Interesting. As we are nearing the close of the show, I would want to say again, thank you for keeping it UKWELI Times, UKWELI Media. Remember to go to our X handle, that's at UKWELI Times, and you can go to our Facebook and our Instagram and just like and follow for where you get to see the nuggets of our top stories or issues yet to be discussed on UKWELI Times channel. And for you who is watching us for the first time, remember to subscribe, like, hit the notification bell for new content that comes. For it comes both in Kinyarwanda and English on a daily, and discussing issues at hand, that's in sports, in politics and finances. That's where we get to discuss issues at hand. How are we not limited? How can we do better and build the nations we are living in? Innocent, in your parting shots, how would we discuss the issue, and what could continually be the feasible way to end this conflict?
The first thing that must be considered, because for me, Rwandan's government, neither Rwandan government nor Ugandan government have the problem. The problem is with President Tshisekedi, who is continuously accusing them.
Pardon me, that's to say, you are actually at a later time putting the Congolese government aside from Felix Tshisekedi as a president, that he himself, this is handling as an ego issue, not as a Congolese general.
Yes, because the Congolese people have no problem with Rwandans. We have seen Congolese crossing to Rwanda. We have seen Rwandans crossing into Congo. They are doing daily business together. They have no problem. The problem comes in the moment Tshisekedi tries to ignore the truth. President Tshisekedi knows that he is accommodating, he is harboring FDLR, a terrorist group. He is harboring ADF. That's one. President Tshisekedi knows very well that he has a problem of refugee crisis. A lot of Congolese who have been living in the neighboring countries, including Rwanda and Uganda, as refugees for decades.
Yet they could be productive in the country.
Yes, they could be productive in their country. They could also be repatriated back into their countries. But they cannot even accept to go to there because there is no security. Imagine taking back to Eastern Congo, where you're going to find FDLR, where you're going to find Codeco, where you're going to find ADF to kill you. You would rather just remain living in Rwanda or Uganda, where you are safe as a refugee. So they cannot even go before he addresses the problem of these terrorists. So the problem again is just surrounds President Tshisekedi. He must sit down, get advice from his elder brothers like President Kagame, his elder brother like President Museveni, his elder brother like President Kenyatta, his elder brother like elder sister like President Suhuru, to get advice on how to address some of these security issues surrounding his country, especially in the Eastern Congo, for him to repatriate these refugees, for him to end the problem of these terrorists. Once he ends this, for him to understand the pride of this M23 young generation fighting for their rights, to address their problems, once he addresses these three things, Congo will go back to the normal and Congo will be paradise. Once he addresses the problem of eliminating the terrorist groups, refugee crisis, and solves the problem of these M23 rebels.
Interesting indeed, interesting a way to look at things. Rumors have always said that currently, because of the state of Congo, very many people are actually profiting from it. But do they consider the lives of men and women, children that are fleeing from their homes or even losing their lives every single day? Right now, Congo has not only been prone to wars, but also to disasters like flooding, disasters like mpox, and now they've become a hub for all disease incubating issues. What is next for Congo? Is it Tshisekedi the problem, or can it be a solution indeed? Because we have seen efforts being put in place. Who is deterring them? Thank you for keeping it on the spot. UKWELI Times, we will return next time to discuss issues still at hand. You can feel free to suggest what would you want us to analyze. My name is Bright Bashir and Innocent Hawumujisha. We're saying adios.
Thank you. Bye-bye.